Yo, what is going on, guys? It is Kyle here from Seabeds bringing you guys another UFC video. Today we have the 5 locks, the best underdogs, DFS slips, all the good stuff. We have a bunch of props coming at you. And without further ado, man, let's get right into this. 5 locks have been absolutely crushing. I think it's literally been probably 4 months since we didn't go at least 4 for 5. We had a 5 for 5 streak going. I think we got to six events in a row. It was like 30 for 30. And then we had 1 bad beat and then 2 bad beats. It's all rough, man. I got 4 locks that I'm very confident in, 1 that I'm pretty confident in, but it's not the end all be all. 4 for 5 is more than all right in my books. Taking in the 5 locks, number 1, we got Fatima Klein. Melissa Martinez hasn't displayed the best takedown defense, even on the regional scene. It's been okay. But when she's on the ground, she spazzes out really hard. She's going to keep trying to get back to her feet, which could work in Fatima Klein's favor, because when you're scrambling like that, when you're pushing really hard, you're extending your arms upward, you're putting your head out there trying to really flop around. Fatima Klein's a slick grappler. She can latch something up. She can latch up a Darce or an Anaconda choke in the scramble. If she pushes off too hard, if Melissa Martinez pushes off too hard with the arms, the arm bars are there. Fatima Klein is very experienced in the grappling. I think the movement is going to prevent the knockout, and I can see definitely a submission here. I was leaning decision in the official picks video, and I still think that's very possible. But the submission, I think, is very live, just snatching something up in the scramble. Eduardo Mora, Lauren Murphy is 42 years old, coming off a layoff after one of the worst ass beatings I've ever seen. I don't think I need to explain this one too much. Junior Tafa. Now, a lot of people try to give me shit. I've seen it in the comments, I've seen it in the Discord, in the DMs, everything. I've gotten shit in every single way. People saying that it's not hard to pick the 5 biggest favorites on the card. And that's not how I do this. I'm not giving you guys the 5 best odds. I'm looking at the odds because I'm doing all my bets, and this comes at the end of the week. But I'm not going out of my way to pick fights because of the odds. If I was doing that, this card would be easy. There's 5 fighters that are all over minus 500. I'm giving you Junior Tafa because I don't see Tokos' path to victory. His wrestling control is not good. Even if he gets Junior Tafa down, he's not able to do anything with it. He can't mount offense. And I think it could look like Walter Walker versus Lucas Bresky, where the takedowns are there, the control is there. Over half the fight was control time for Walter Walker, and he still lost because he couldn't do anything. I think it could look similar. It could look like the Mo Usman fight, but a little bit worse because Tokos is not Mo Usman. He's also a lot smaller. Tokos is like big for the division, but he's going to be the smallest fighter that Junior Tafa has fought in a long time. I think Junior Tafa has the knockout equity. He can win a decision based on damage. And people might want to call it controversial if Tokos has 9 minutes of control time and he loses, but if he's not doing shit with the position, you got to go Tafa. Over 2.5 for Curtis and Max Griffin. Now this right here, I think this is a fight that's just destined to go the distance. Chris Curtis, obviously we know this guy has pop. He's shown pop in the past. He's knocked guys out at 85. But he's knocking out guys that are like, I don't know. I don't want to call people like Buckley chinny, but maybe. Buckley hasn't fought anyone that's not been over the age of 35 in a while. Put it that way. And Max Griffin is notoriously durable. If Morales isn't putting this guy out, I cannot see Chris Curtis coming down to 170 again at the age of 38. I don't think that he's going to be the first one to do it. Max Griffin's never been put out. Colby TKO'd him in his debut. Hasn't been even close since. Chiesa subbed him, but Curtis isn't shooting takedowns. Max Griffin in his entire career, like his 30-fight career, he has 9 split decisions. He's literally going to split decision. That's not even decision. That's split decision. He has more decisions. Curtis is also a decisionator. I think this one's destined for the cards, and the price is not even horrible. And then Mike Davis. Now, this one right here is not my most confident. This is the last one where I was kind of struggling. I'm not going to put on here... there's so many different options on this card. I'm not going to go Morgan Charrier because Morgan Charrier is dog shit. I'm not going Taliesin Teixeira because Taliesin Teixeira is dog shit. I'm not going Bonfim because Bonfim he can absolutely win if he implements his game plan. But with these guys, you never know. Mike Davis, I think, is more well-rounded than Mitch Ramirez. He is going to be smaller. He's going to be at a size disadvantage, maybe a strength disadvantage slightly. But I think the grappling is going to come through. I think the takedowns are going to be there. Mike Davis looked ring-rusted to all hell, and he was still injured apparently in his last fight. I think this time he's coming to play. He's going to get the takedowns. He's going to get the ground and pound. He's going to find a submission. Underdog opportunities. These are guys that I think have a very good chance to win their fight as an underdog. Old Man Cater. This is not because Calvin Cater's good. I think Calvin Cater sucks. Calvin Kattar, objectively not a good fighter, in my opinion. This is because Steve Garcia is also horrible. He has no chin. He has no urgency when he's on the cage. He doesn't check leg kicks. Now, again, these are not things that Kattar does very well. Kattar does not throw leg kicks. Kattar does not cage pressure people. But if they're going blow for blow, Kattar's never been knocked out. Steve Garcia throws with no defense. He does not block his head. He's just throwing to land before you land. Kattar has a little bit of pop. Kattar's not like lights out knocking people out John Silva style. He has power. He has a little bit of speed. He's going to be slower than Garcia, I believe. But Garcia is not good. Garcia is too chinny for this. If he's trying to stand in the pocket, if Kattar slips one shot and lands a hook, Garcia's going down. This man's been knocked down more times than I can count. So I think at the dog money, Kattar might be worth a shot. Kattar by knockout plus 200, I can see that coming through. There's a lot of different options here. Nate the Train. I think Morgan Charrier sucks. He is not who we thought he was. He came in, he knocked out some Italian guy, and we thought this guy was the shit. He's not going to have wrestling success against Nate the Train. Doo Ho Choi just beat the brakes off this guy. I know Nate the Train is old, and he's also not the best fighter. But really, Morgan Charrier is literally 5-10 in his career when fights go to decision. He notoriously does not do enough. He's constantly swinging at air. He does not use his range properly. Nate the Train just has to land a little bit more damage and not get chinned, and I think he's going to win this on the cards. The Knockout King? Like I said, Taliesin Teixeira sucks, guys. His knockout over Justin Tafa, he knees Tafa in the balls, so Tafa's leaning forward to cover his nuts because he just got kneed there, and he just leans forward right into the elbow that breaks his nose, and then he shells up. He wasn't knocked out. He got his nose broken. His nose was sideways, so he went down to cover up his nose. Whatever. When Derek Lewis fights people, they slow down. Taliesin Teixeira is all gas, no brakes. When people fight Derek Lewis, they fight slow because they understand what's coming back at them. Everybody fights Derek Lewis slow. Francis Ngannou is fighting Derek Lewis slow. Everybody does. We haven't seen this guy over like 3 minutes besides, I think, one fight in his debut. What's going to happen? What happens if Derek Lewis does what he did in his last fight and he just gets a shitty takedown instantly? It's a big man laying on top of you. Taliesin Teixeira, he's 6'7", but he's like slim. He's not 265. What happens when there's a 265-pound man on top of you? His gut is just crushing your ribs. That's exhausting to get up from. From experience, when you have a big man like laying on top of you in jiu-jitsu and wrestling, that sucks. We don't know what this guy's gas tank is. He could have a phenomenal gas tank. This could all be for nothing. He could take this fight to round 3 and he could still be landing volume because Derek Lewis is not the more skilled fighter in this matchup. Derek Lewis has never been the more skilled fighter in any fight that he's ever had. But I think for the giant price right here, Derek Lewis, are you kidding me? I think he's worth a shot. His takedown prop alone is like plus 400. You think Derek Lewis can't find a way to trip this dude up? I don't know, man. Derek Lewis has a couple different things he can do. And it's not like Derek Lewis is getting chinned in the first round. The only time he's ever been knocked out in the first round is Sergey Pavlovich. Do we think Taliesin Teixeira hits like Sergey Pavlovich? I don't, personally. Maybe he does. Maybe I'll eat my words. But I don't know. Derek Lewis isn't knocking people out in the first round with the exception of like Chris Dawkins. So I think this fight extends a little bit, and I think we're going to see what Taliesin Teixeira is made of. Onto the DFS slips here. I'm covering the better logo, but on the left side we have Mike Davis for over 2 takedowns. I think Mitch Ramirez is going to stay safe. He didn't get submitted by Thiago Moises when Moises took him down twice. He played safe. He got back to guard. He was in a deep rear naked choke attempt from Thiago Moises, and he managed to fight out of it. He's doing all the right things, fighting the hands and all that. And I think he's going to survive for a couple takedowns. Worst case scenario, in my opinion, this pushes at 2. Chris Curtis under 85.5 fantasy points. Now, first of all, I don't think Chris Curtis... I don't even know if he wins the fight. I picked Chris Curtis, but I don't have any money on him. His line's ridiculous. For this line, the way Better calculates fantasy score, it's 0.2 strikes for a significant strike, 0.2 strikes for a total strike. What that equates to is 0.4 fantasy points per significant strike landed. So if we want to break down the math here, assuming that Max Griffin isn't going to get knocked down and brutalized by Chris Curtis somehow, we know the fight's going to decision. He gets 30 points for a decision win. So we're down to 55.5. If you divide that by 0.4, We're looking at like 130 significant strikes that Chris Curtis is going to have to land to cover this line. I don't think he lands that many. I think I had the same philosophy with Natalia Silva against Alexa Grasso. We knew Natalia Silva wasn't going to shoot takedowns. We know she isn't going to cage clinch. We know she isn't going to get knockdowns, really. And we know it's going to decision. Her line was very similar. I smacked the under on a bunch of slips, and it came through for us. Then in the middle here, Max Griffin under 0.5 takedowns. On top of Chris Curtis having good takedown defense, Max Griffin is not a come-forward wrestler. This line was 1.5 earlier in the week. I sent it out to everyone in the bets channel, or whatever you want to call it, for free. Again, totally free, not charging people for bets. And I was in Mexico, so I couldn't place it because GFS is banned down there. But the line moved to 0.5. Unfortunately, I hope a lot of people got that in because that was a sick line. And then Mitch Ramirez over, or lower than 21.5. Sorry, not over. Like I said, I think Mike Davis is just going to come forward and take him down over and over. Mike Davis has showed that he likes to play from the guard now. When you're in the guard, unless you're fully postured up, you're not going to get a significant strike from there. So I think we're good to go on that one. And then on the far right side, Morgan Charrier, lower than 1.5 takedowns. I mean, if these Russian dudes in M1 aren't out grappling Nate the Train like that well, I don't think Morgan Charrier is going to have a ton of success there. I know Do Ho Choi just did that, but I think Do Ho Choi was just like had him concussed in the first round. I think Nate the Train was fighting for survival in that one. And then on the bottom there, Junior Tafa over the fantasy score. I think a knockout is incredibly live here. If not, I think he's going to drop Tokos at least once. And I just see a lot of different ways he could come through and cash this line for us. Let's get on to the props here. We got my man RDR. Fatima Klein knockout, rounds 1 and 2. Now this is supposed to say submission, actually. I was just telling you guys about the submission prop. Regardless, whether you want to go submission or knockout, I think she's going to get it done inside distance. If you want to go inside distance, I think it's like plus 200 for rounds 1 and 2. This is unprofessional, man. I'm sorry about that. But Fatima Klein for a submission in rounds 1 and 2. I think she's going to be pounding away with the ground and pound. She's going to force Melissa Martinez to make a mistake in a scramble, and it's going to get snatched up early when they're dry, hopefully. Nate Landwehr by decision. I explained this one. Morgan Charrier is 5-10 to the decision in his career. Nate the Train is 7-2, I believe, or 6-2, something like that. If the fight goes to the cards, you have to favor Nate the Train unless he's literally just getting the shit kicked out of him for the entire fight, which Morgan Charrier hasn't really done to anyone. Curtis and Griffin goes to split decision plus 400. I think it's a great bet. Like I said, Max Griffin goes to split decision at nearly a 33% clip in his entire career. If you go for the last 5 fights of both these guys, Chris Curtis has 2 split decisions. Max Griffin has 3. 5 split decisions between them in their last 5 fights. That's ridiculous. For these odds, you got to give a shot on that. Then Lewis and Teixeira fight ends in round 2. Like I told you guys, I think Derek Lewis has that small takedown potential. On top of that, when guys fight Derek Lewis, they slow down. I think this fight extends to the second round. Derek Lewis has plenty of round 2 knockouts. Taliesin Teixeira, what's going to happen if he slows down? Arthur Lopez was in the pocket beating this dude up. Derek Lewis hits a lot harder than Arthur Lopez. If Taliesin Teixeira wants to eat shots like that, he's going to bed. And Derek Lewis is not a round 1 knockout guy, so give me the round 2 for the long shot. We have Bonfim sub, round 2-3. Again, I think Stephen Thompson, unfortunately, is past his best days. I think the pressure grappling of Bonfim is going to pay. It's going to pay dividends for him, honestly. I think he's going to end up jumping a guillotine. He's going to be in the clinch. Wonderboy's going to be fighting it. He's going to dip his head a little bit too low. Bonfim is going to force the head down like a little snap down. He's going to grab the guillotine. He's going to jump it. He might roll it over into mount like a mounted guillotine. And unfortunately, I see Wonderboy tapping. Make sure you guys join the Discord. We are doing all sorts of bets. We're waiting for hockey to come back because hockey was absolutely printing money for us. But right now, we're crushing the MLB. All the player props, just sweating out Ketel Marte to get 1.5 bases. He got it in the top of the 9th, cashed the free square pair. And I mean, yeah, it's a lot of good stuff in there. All my bets are free. This is not financial advice. If you don't have the money to gamble, don't be gambling. But if you're already going to be gambling on fights, going to be gambling on sports, might as well do it like some of the best in the industry for totally free. I'm not going to try and charge you for my bets. So yeah, get in the Discord, join the Winnable. That's where all the bets are going to be. Again, totally free. And yeah, we'll catch you guys in the next one, man. Hope to go 5 for 5, and we'll see you later. Peace out.